to check each cog, because sometimes we spend more time in, say, the lower gears, or sometimes more time in the taller gears there too. So you want to check them all. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So some might be more and more than others, but you got to inspect each one of those. So that's a very good example of a worn out cassette right there. Now we're to bottom bracket. Right? So with the bottom bracket, it's very difficult to check in the stand. All we're checking here is we're going to spin the cranks and we're going to pull and push the crank arm. So what I'm checking is I'm making sure that there's no play in the bottom bracket down here. Then I'm going to pull the cranks side to side, moving them back and forth on this axis right here. I'm checking to make sure that there's no play or that there's no that there's not severely worn. So we're going to check that.
Feels good to me.
Feels good, right?
Yeah.
No play, spins freely, so that's good. So typically speaking, when one spoke breaks, your spokes are wearing out, and you're going to need to, you're probably going to break another spoke. So the recommendation is always going to be to replace all the spokes or replace the wheel when you break one. Can we replace one spoke? Absolutely. But a more thorough job, and it best serves the guest if you replace all the spokes at one time. Okay, we're visually inspecting to make sure there's no rust or corrosion on each one of those spokes or nipples or anything, or particularly where the nipple comes into the rim right there. So you're visually inspecting just to make sure that there's no cracking at the nipples there too. Over time, all this tension can cause the rim to crack at the nipple junction right there. Notice those little eyelets right there. That's to reinforce the rim at that particular point. If you look right here, you got a black nipple there and a silver nipple there. This guest has probably broken a nipple at some point right there. So that was probably replaced. So slow down the process, inspect every part of the whole system. That's the rim, nipple, spoke, and then how they all work together. Okay. I'm inspecting the tire at the same time as well. I'm looking at the sidewall. I'm making sure there's no cuts in the sidewall. I'm checking out the tread here to make sure there's no cuts or damage to the tire here. I'm inspecting the tread life. Notice here that little relief cut there. That's called siping. That helps with traction, but it's also an indication of wear. So when you wear through those little those siping marks right there, you've then started to wear out your tires. It's not a safety issue. It's just it's really just a frame of reference of knowing how much life you still have left on your tire. If you see that you're wearing through the wear indicator, point that out to the guest and say, look, you're starting to wear through your tires. You may want to think about replacing those. But if you look here, sidewall's in good shape, tread is in good shape, still plenty of life left there. So these tires are in good shape. So we'll move on there. All right. Any questions yet for me?
Nope.
Fantastic. You're doing a great job. All right. Okay, so I'm going to come back over to the rim here. I like to use my pen. I'll use the chain stay or the seat stay here, the frame as a guide, and I'll put my pen on the rim right there. And see how it rubs just a little bit right there. Yeah, it seems to bend just a little bit going in that direction, right? So it's got just a little side-to-side wobble. So we would want to go in there and re-true that and adjust the spokes to bring it back into true.
How do you know if it's a true or just a bend in the rim?
That's a good question. So typically I say if you can see the bend in the rim, that's not trueable. That's a bend in the rim.
Yeah.
If it just oscillates side to side, back and forth just a little bit, that's usually spoke tension. And then just truing the wheel is going to fix that. So if you can see the bend in the rim, it's bent, and a true isn't going to fix that. If it's just a small oscillation side to side, that's an adjustment. We can true the wheel, we can fix that. Checking here is for play in the hub here. So we are going to grab the frame, move the wheel back and forth, and we're checking for play at the hub. Go ahead and do that. Does that feel?
Feels fine.
Pretty good, right? Yeah, you'll notice right off the bat. There's a little bit of play in there. Then it was, I said, the lever, the brake hose, the caliper, the pads, and the rotor, and then how they all work together. So installing a whole new brake system. That's $55. The adjustment that we're talking about is just the adjustment from, you can see this here. You're looking down, and we're looking at the see the rotor in relationship to the rotor in relationship to the pads right there.
Yeah.
So that rotor should be centered in the caliper right there.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
That's the only adjustment that we can do.
I have a question. Then.
Yep.
So on my downhill, my front rotor, it's like when I move it, it just moves like barely and stops. And so I think the calipers are too tight. But then is that an adjustment you make too? Because it's not rubbing one side or the other, it's just too tight.
Too tight.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's no adjustment that you can make on that caliper. You'd have to bleed the system. That's actually a really good question. Come up to the brakes. Pull your levers back. Pull your levers back. Your lever should engage, and you should feel a positive bite on the pads on the rotor. You should feel positive engagement right there, and you want the lever to engage within 50% of the overall stroke right here. So right there would be 50%, so that's good. If it pulled all the way back to the lever, then that would be a what? Excellent. Yeah, very good, because it's nothing with the caliper, it's in the lever. Any other adjustment to be made would be a bleed. So very good. Yeah, exactly. You're right. So then you further pull the lever back, snap it back. You want a nice fast lever return. It should snap right back. If it's slow to return, more often than not, it's going to need to be overhauled, either the lever or the caliper. Okay, so let's look at what that looks like here. So there's actually two different adjustments right there. So you've got your reach adjustment right here. Reach adjustment changes the orientation of the lever. Okay, so if I were to turn this in or out, it's going to move the lever in or out, completely dependent upon where the pads bite onto the rotor. So you've got pad contact and reach adjustment, two separate adjustments. Right here is your pad contact adjustment. So by turning this barrel right here, I'm actually affecting how or where the pads bite on that rotor.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt a brake lever where you pull it and it's still spongy, it still pulls back to the lever?
Yeah.
There's contaminants or air in the line at that point. So that's called mushy. That's the term that we use. That means there's contaminants or air in the line, and then we need to bleed that whole line and get some fresh oil in there. So then I'll always say, when in doubt, check something that's new. So if you don't know how it's supposed to look or how it's supposed to feel, check what a new one looks like, and then you'll know if it needs to be replaced. So when we're checking brake pads, we can come over here, look right down here. You can walk over to this side here. You're looking down there. It's easy to see on these ones here because you can see you want it to be where I'm at here. So one of just some spots right there. So what you're looking for is you've got the backing plate right here, and then you've got the pad material right next to that.
And
so
pad's worn out.
What it looks like new is that.
Yeah.
Right? That. So you want to replace these pads when you've got less than a millimeter or 50% or past 50% wear. So if you want to know what that looks like, look at a new one. So